even if there is a leak, that leak can spread like wildfire. So, I mean, the only way to plug that is to ensure that the exam doesn't get leaked anyway. Our sources tell us that, it points to the fact that the paper may have been leaked on chatting platforms.
Ritika, what's the update after UGC NET examination has been cancelled for 2024? And what's your opinion on the current state of examination in India? Looking at the kind of reports we are seeing on paper leaks. Can you give us a quick update on this?
After last night, it was a pretty late development last night. The government has decided to cancel the first leg of the UGC NET exam. UGC NET is conducted twice a year in June and January. So the one held on the 18th of June was cancelled because the government was of the opinion that based on MHA's input, or ministry's input, that there was evidence which points to the fact that the integrity of the exam may have been compromised. So of course, so it was cancelled after that. There were 9 lakh students, over 9 lakh students who appeared for this paper. The update post that is that, of course, frankly, the students don't really have an option but to wait for the next date of the retest. So the ministry did have a briefing this afternoon, and of course, one of our questions to the Joint Secretary briefing us was that when would the exam, or when would the retest be organized? And they said that the retest would be announced very soon. That gave us the impression that maybe in the next couple of days, a fresh date would be here soon. That's the update specifically as for students. Otherwise, I mean, on the investigation front, now one will have to wait and watch, because the ministry, as an immediate step, has decided to cancel the exam and has now handed over the investigation to the CBI. So, so who were the actual culprits behind the exam? The ministry has been vague about the inputs that have been received from MHA. But our sources tell us that, it points to the fact that the paper may have been leaked on sort of these chatting platforms a day before the exam. But the ministry is very tight-lipped about it, and they're tight-lipped about it on the ground that this would jeopardize the investigation, and they wouldn't really want to alert by way of disclosing which centers were affected, or what was the modus, or how was the integrity of the exam compromised. But almost everything, including the ministry's vague statement, all of it points to the fact that the ministry has strong reasons to believe that there may have been a leak before the UGC NET exam was conducted on the 18th of June. As far as your question about the state of public examinations is concerned in India, look, as far as the state public examinations, competitive exams, job exams are concerned, we know that the Express has also done a deep dive on this, that there as far as the state exams are concerned, of course, and that's for everyone to see, that there are many papers, especially post pandemic and during the pandemic, where the papers were leaked multiple times, where exams have to be cancelled and reheld, Rajasthan being one example of that. So it was a pretty sorry state of affairs as far as the state public exam, job exams are concerned. Till now, actually, at least since the 2018 CBSE Class 12 economics paper that was leaked, since then, the centrally conducted competitive exams, the centrally conducted examinations haven't really been plagued by this leak and unfair means problem. They have been relatively free of that, but this problem is now is here to haunt the center as well. And although it's unfortunate that the paper had been cancelled, but this decision of the government assumes significance against the backdrop of the fact that just about 4 months back, this government introduced a new law to deal with the problem of paper leaks. Remember that at that point, when this law was being introduced and was being discussed in Parliament, DOPT, which is the ministry that introduced this law, did say that, we are cognizant of this issue, although our exams have been relatively free of it. But we, through this law, we want to send out the message that the government has a no tolerance policy for the paper leak problem. So now I think the government has an opportunity to prove that of the no tolerance policy. So an exam, of course, has been cancelled. And now one will have to see. I mean, the culprits will actually be punished under this law, because this law does have very stringent punishments for individuals as well as gangs that are involved in the leaking of the paper.
One last question. In your opinion, what are the loopholes in the current exam system in India? If you have to point out at 2 or 3 things.
See, honestly, it will be a little odd to generalize about the loopholes with regard to current exam system. It's just that now in this digital age, not only, it's even if there is a leak, that leak can spread like wildfire. So, of course, the only way to plug that is to ensure that the exam doesn't get leaked anyway. And honestly, there are, for instance, to give you an example, the IITs which conduct the JEE Advanced, another competitive exam, hasn't been plagued by this problem at all. The bottom line is that if you have robust systems in place, every examination body has a protocol to ensure that papers are not leaked. And it's not as if we have a leak every year. It is easy to identify. It's for investigation agencies to as to the weak link where the problem was. It's just that examination bodies just have to follow the protocol that has been set. Because the protocols are pretty much set in stone, and if followed to the T, just as how, say, the IIMs and the IITs have proved that it's not that easy to leak a paper. Because if it was a problem that widespread, it's not possible for some systems to kind of not experience, and for some to experience it repeatedly. So at the end of the day, I think it's a question of political will to stop it, as well as administrative will.
Thank you, Ritika, for your inputs, and thank you so much for joining us. Thank you.